Vance has become this right-wing cartoon, who's just carrying the water for Trump. And I'm just very disappointed because I thought he was going to do something, frankly, more intelligent. And he's so bright and so educated that that on some level he's aware of it. It's sad to see.
So what's new at the Times? What are you writing about these days?
What did I do last week? I wrote about J.D. Vance and how he has become something that I was told I was going to be. And I don't like to be all about me, but
you compared yourself to J.D. Vance?
In a sense that he starts out as somebody who's threading a needle. He's conservative leaning, I think, from the beginning. But his book Hillbilly Elegy is about how there is both structure and there's culture, and the two operate with a kind of synergy that is complex and subtle. That's what Hillbilly Elegy is about. That book sold 400 billion copies. I'm not comparing myself to him in terms of that, but my book, Losing the Race, made that same kind of argument. It wasn't just criticizing the culture. I very much acknowledged structural problems, the existence of racism, et cetera, et cetera. Vance wrote me, I think in 2016, when his book had come out and become a big hit. And he recognized me as somebody who was in a position to understand him. And we had a little bit of email, just a little. But I thought he is on his way to showing the world that you can make the arguments that he's making without selling out, frankly. And back in 2000, especially in the Bay Area, I was public enemy number one for a while. And the idea was that I was writing things like Losing the Race in order to be embraced by the right wing and get rich, making punitive speeches about Black people to white audiences. And I was surprised, but I learned not to be. A lot of people really thought that's what I was trying to do. Well, I think been a quarter century now, and if anybody thinks that I've sold out to the right by writing for the New York Times every week, then we have different conceptions of what selling out is. And so then I was just thinking about Vance lately. And Vance has become this right-wing cartoon, who's just carrying the water for Trump. And I'm just very disappointed because I thought he was going to do something, frankly, more intelligent. And he's so bright and so educated that that on some level he's aware of it. It's sad to see.
Okay, let me see if I understand. You and he share that you came to prominent public attention through a book which was in some ways critical of your own folk, but was critical with a sophistication and a kind of nuance that didn't put you at odds with your own folk. But you were tempted in the success of your respective books by a more hard-edged conservative slash, I don't even know how to put it, nationalist, in Vance's case, framing to which he succumbed and took the money and ran, and you did not. I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is that what you're saying?
The only thing I wouldn't say is sophisticated. I would say that my take was careful. But yes, frankly, yes. I could be a millionaire many times over if I decided to do what people thought I was aiming for. And I am sincerely not interested. And I've been surprised to watch how transparently Vance has instead decided to take the money or take the fame and run, because the things that he's claiming, such as the business about the eating the cats, such as the idea that the election was stolen in a way that would justify what happened at the Capitol, he doesn't believe those things. He's saying he couldn't. He's too reasonable a person. He's pretending to because he wants to ride the coattails of et cetera, et cetera. I'm surprised. I didn't know he was.
I don't know him. I'm not going to speculate about his motive. But here, I just ask you. I didn't read your column. I apologize, but I think I get the gist. So he became rich from the book, right? He said it sold a gazillion copies, and then he had a career in, was it private equity or venture capital or something like that, in finance, where he no doubt made money. Most of those guys walk away from that with a lot of money. And that wasn't about selling anything to the public. That was about doing whatever they do on the inside of these firms. And I assume they're not giving the money away. He probably had some deals where he contributed and he got compensated. And is that what you're calling selling out?
No,
Going into private equity and
no, it is.
oh, so it's becoming a Republican politician running for the Senate in Ohio, branding himself as a conservative up and comer, and then finally accepting this offer from Trump to join the ticket.
In a
That's the
way that
selling out.
involves transparently lying. All politicians lie, supposedly, but in these cases, clearly pretending to believe things that are transparently not true again and again and again. I can't believe that. It's the sort of thing where I used to say, well, I don't want to go here, but I wonder how the people who love him feel about this, basically. I just don't. I've been really surprised to see him go in that direction. No, he's not selling out to have a hit book. He's not selling out to be a venture capitalist. It's just what he's been over about the past 9 months, in particular. This fealty to Donald Trump. There are many people who've done it. I didn't expect it to be him, and not on this basis. Doesn't it worry you to watch that clear-eyed person pretending to believe that Haitians are gathering up people's pets and cooking them for dinner? Paul Ryan would never have done this. You know what I mean? And that's a similar figure.
Yeah, I don't know about the Haitians eating the pets thing. I mean, evidently there's no evidence for that. That's a rumor. And it never should have gotten to the front line of the rhetoric of that campaign. That was a disaster, in my opinion, for the Trump-Vance campaign. I mean, you don't say that unless you can prove it. And, you leave yourself open to exactly the criticisms of racism and, wild-eyed mania and whatnot. So I agree that and that moment in the debate when Trump said, they're eating the pets. Who was it? This was Bill Maher, your man, Bill Maher, who said it was like that moment in the Kane Mutiny where the captain has this moment of madness, and everybody on the crew realizes that this dude is over the top. It was like pulling the covers back on something. Very,
That's
very
a good
disturbing.
comparison. Yeah.
And I gather Vance was the source of that initially, that it was people communicating with his offices. Do you know that?
The way I heard it is that, well, it starts with this one person who has retracted. Vance claims that various constituents of his have reported this. I'm not sure what the veracity of that is. Maybe he has been told that. However, he has continued to insist on it when it's been painfully obvious that it isn't true. And he didn't say in the media, I'm going to tell stories. He didn't mean I am lying. He was pretending that it actually was true and that therefore he was going to create media stories. But still, I wrote about that in the piece. It's not that he openly admitted lying, but still, he's obviously lying. He was just digging back on it. And him, the person who wrote Hillbilly Elegy, I would never expect this of. That's what I mean.
I don't know about lying. I mean, lying means, that's not true and you say it anyway. Yeah. I mean, who would lie about something like that? Literally lie, make it up. Knowing it's not true. Repeating a rumor is one thing. Is repeating rumor lying? Yeah. Anyway, I don't want to split hairs with you. It was a fuck up, that's for sure.
Mm-hmm. And so my last piece was about
that.
But
why is he on the ticket, J.D. Vance? Isn't he supposed to be a bid for working class, non-college educated, white, quasi-religious, somewhat socially conservative people, the kind of people that Trump thinks that get the Teamsters rank and file to go 2-1 for Trump? Isn't he supposed to be that kind of a bid?
Yeah, and
Trump
also
campaign?
And also just that he has made it so clear that he would be loyal to Trump, and that he had once said nasty things about Trump, but then came around. Trump likes that kind of person who makes it clear that he won't create any trouble. And so here we are. But yes, he's turned out to be a very different kind of vice presidential candidate than I think Trump expected. And I just keep thinking of that book. It's just you would not recognize this person from how sensitive Hillbilly Elegy was. Did you read Hillbilly Elegy? Did you
I
get to
did read Hillbilly. I was actually impressed by Hillbilly Elegy.
Yeah, it was a good.
I read it when it first came out 10 years ago or whenever it was, and
Yeah.
I thought, this is an interesting book because it, on precisely this issue of criticizing the culture of your own people and recognizing how it's holding them back, and divorcing yourself from the excuse-making apologia that of narrative that emerges within your people, explaining why it is that they can't get out of bed in the morning, won't put down the jug of homebrew, are not realizing their potential, and then they have a ready-made excuse. We're the losers of history or whatever. That's kind of what I remember taking away from that book, identifying with the author and thinking he was doing something for the people whom he was talking about. This is the hillbillies. What I thought of myself in a way as doing not exactly the same thing, but a cousin, relatedly, in my cultural criticism of African American social life. So yeah, I thought it was well written. The story is compelling. I mean,